Hello, everyone. Welcome from across this gorgeous planet. We are one mountain, many paths, where our mission is what Barbara Marx Hubbard and Dr. Mark Goffney call the planetary awakening in love through a unique self symphony. Together, we declare that the last day of the old face of evolution is honored as the first day of the new face of creation. I am Christina Tehel, the co-executive producer, along with Krista Josepha and Kirsten Zohar, and I am delighted to be here with each and every one of you today. I welcome all the new people. Please do share that you are new in the chat box. We absolutely want to hear from you. And when you do chat, this is to everyone, chat by checking that your settings say all panelists and attendees and not just all panelists. Use the chat function to say hi, to let us know where you're from, and to resonate the Dharma. In one mountain, many paths, we are connected, we are whole, and we're expressions of the entire process of creation. We are activating a new humanity and we are awakening as a new species, Homo Amor, the fulfillment of Homo sapien. We are a church, a synagogue, a mosque, a temple, a zendo. We are all of it. No one is excluded, everyone is included, and we come together to attune to the evolutionary impulse awakening within us. Welcome home, everyone. We are absolutely overjoyed to be with you today in week 213. It's a miracle. Let everyone know about One Mountain, Many Paths. We are doing this primarily through word of mouth. And I can absolutely say that leadership around our community is a sacred opportunity. On YouTube, we are One Mountain, Many Paths. On Facebook, we are facebook.com/One Mountain, Many Paths. Right now, we are streaming live on both YouTube and Facebook. So if you could take a moment, copy either of the links from the Zoom chat box and share those live links on your favorite social media channels. That would be awesome. After our communion, we will send you an email to invite your friends and family. And go ahead and forward that email right after this gathering. Spend time on our website, onemountainmanypaths.org. On the top menu of the home page or the bottom of each page, you will find our membership links. A lot of the main teachings in church are also in books by Dr. Mark Goffney and Barbara Marx Hubbard. On our resource page on our website, you will find these books for One Mountain, like this one, The Evolutionary Testament of Co-Creation, The Promise Will Be Kept by Barbara. Buckminster Fuller called Barbara, he said, there is no doubt that Barbara Marx Hubbard, who helped introduce the concept of futurism to society, was the best informed human regarding futurism and the foresights it has produced. So do check out her books. Right after our live broadcast, we offer a special invitation to take your seat at the table of history as a revolutionary and global activist. In these first principle deep dives, Dr. Mark Goffney applies first principles, first values, a new story for a new humanity to public culture as a response to the crisis of intimacy happening in the world right now. With that, I give you what to expect today. We begin with a first principles recap from last week. After Dr. Mark sets our intention, then David will resonate the evolutionary love code. We move into prayer, then evolutionary sermons with Dr. Mark, and often with a piece from Barbara Marx Hubbard. And then Krista will invite us to commit our outrageous acts of love and to contribute our gifts to this revolution. And then we go into our first principles deep dive. At the end, we bring everyone on for our goodbyes. Mark wrote what he called evolutionary love codes. Mark and Barbara studied the codes together, often comparing them with Barbara's own 52 codes for conscious self-evolution. These codes grew out of their radical commitment over 100 collective years, crystallizing the new story of humanity and, quote, evolving the course of consciousness and culture, which is the source code of love, unquote. Each communion is a standalone, and every week's communion builds on the week before. One Mountain, Many Paths is so radically committed to telling the new story. So here goes my One Mountain, Many Paths recap from last week's gathering. Week 212, the quality and feeling of homo amor, incarnating the third beyond polarities. So, what's the quality and feeling of homo amor? What's the character of the outrageous lover? What does it feel like to be religare, to be reconnected, and to have reality flowing through you? Also, why does the one desire the many? There is a feeling to homo amor. There's a feeling to the universe, to cosmos. One of the core qualities of cosmos is personhood. The personhood of cosmos, all the way up and all the way down. The personhood of cosmos, that's what we call the infinity of intimacy, the intimate cosmos that's ultimately personal. We have two different relationships to divinity that come together in the third. So I and you and I seem to be opposites, but actually, when I talk to you, I generate you, but you also generate me. You generate a quality, a dimension of intimacy in me that doesn't show up unless we are exchanging. So, if we live in an intimate universe and God is the infinity of intimacy, and you generate in me a new quality of intimacy that only shows up when I'm talking to you, that means that you generate a new God. When I talk to you, I generate a new God in you. Wow. That's what we mean by the space in between. That's what it means to be homo amor. It's to know that every friend generates a new quality of godness, a new quality of intimacy, a new quality of reality. The world depends on this. The move from a top-down system, which is imposed order, to the natural, elegant order of the cosmos emergent is the move from a top-down imposition to a bottom-up, welling up to a self-organizing universe, to a self-actualizing cosmos. God is first person and lives in me. God is second person. I fall into she. Which one is right? The third. Homo amor is the third. Homo amor is the seamless realization that I am held in the arms of the infinity of intimacy. She holds me, and that I am the arms of the infinity of intimacy at the very same time. That's not a contradiction, and it's more than a paradox. They are both literally true in a higher union. With that, I invite us to more deeply enter into the holy and sacred space of many paths, one mountain. And I turn my word to you, beloved Dr. Mark.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Yay. We should all unmute ourselves and we should all find our voice. Welcome, everyone. It's been a big weekend. I'm in the United States of America and in Miami, Florida, and there was an election, if some of you might have noticed, in the United States of America. So first off, congratulations to Joe Biden, to Kamala Harris on being declared the winners of the election. And we're going to talk about, the significance. This is clearly from a political, spiritual, emotional, psychological, historical perspective, right? At this moment, poised between utopia and dystopia, this is a moment of enormous significance, and we have to actually thread the needle, feel the joy, feel the possibility, and come together in this moment of transformation. And it's easy to get it wrong, right? It's easy to miss it. And so we need to actually tell the story today in light of shared story. What's the shared story that brings us together? What's the shared story that brings together the 74 million people who voted for Joe Biden, right? Which is the largest voter turnout for any single candidate ever. And what unites those people with the 70 million people who voted for Donald Trump, which is the second largest voter turnout? And as Joe Biden said in his talk last night, it's time for the end of demonization. So that's what this is about. This is going to be today. It is dedicated to those words in Joe Biden's speech, was about reclaiming soul and about the end to demonization. How do we do that? And how do we do that both within the Democratic and Republican side in America? And how do we do that around the world? Right? This is a moment of healing. And healing is eros. Eros means becoming whole. Eros is in our Eros formula that we've written now 12 volumes on that are going to slowly come out. Eros is, anyone going to write it for me in the chat box? Find me in the chat box. What is Eros? So it's not just a word. Eros means something very specific. I'm going to find the chat box myself. What is Eros? Right? Eros is the experience of radical aliveness, seeking ever deeper intimacy and ever greater wholeness, ever greater wholes. So this is a moment for coming together. This is a moment of Eros, this is a moment of healing. When Kamala introduced Joe Biden, the first thing she said about him was he's a healer. What does a healer mean? A healer means we got to make it whole. And to make it whole means everybody's included. No one's excluded. The demonization ends, but it's not that the demonization ends of those people, but not those people. All demonization ends. Not that we don't take stands. We do take stands. We take fierce stands for goodness, truth, and beauty, right? For integrity. But we move beyond demonization. We're going to talk about what that means today. Okay, so our intention today is healing. Our intention today is making whole. Our intention today is honoring not just the American nature. We're all Americans. We're all human beings around the world. But since the eyes of the world in this moment are in America, I got a note from lots of people. My friend Walter in Belgium, right, said to me, he's a beautiful man who has a lot of shops around Belgium. They're actually closed now. So it's a hard moment. He said to me, something like, we're all Americans now, right? Meaning we're all participating in this election that's significant around the world. And so we're going to use this election as a microcosm. And we're going to actually look for what's the shared story. The single, beloved Barbara Marx Hubbard and myself together, what we've been saying, right, all of us together here in One Mountain, Many Paths have been saying is there's a new shared story. It's beyond Republican and Democrat. It's beyond conservative and liberal. It's a deeper shared story of humanity in which we understand that which unites us is much greater than that which divides us. That we have a shared daemon. We have a shared daemon when there's a shared daemonization, and daemon means destiny. We don't just have a covenant of fate. We're stuck on planet Earth and we kind of got to get along. We have a covenant of destiny. Get the difference? It's not just a covenant of shared fate. It's a covenant of destiny, of daemonization. Daemonization means we have a shared daemon. We're called by the same angels. We have a shared vision, right? We have a shared purpose. We have a shared truth. We have a shared goodness. We have a shared beauty. And actually, it's so gorgeous, my friends, right? There's a shared beauty. There's a shared story that unites almost all of the 70 million people who voted Republican and all of the 74 million people who voted Democrat. Underneath all of the divisions, right? Wow, there's something huge and big and beautiful that's emergent. It hasn't yet happened. It's bubbling near the surface. We sense it. So we're going to look for that today. We're going to go deep, and we're going to wind a tricky path, a beautiful path. But we're coming. Our energy is, what's our energy, everybody? Celebration. Our energy, celebration. Right? And I want to just say, and I'm going to turn to David to read. We have an incredible code this week. I cried yesterday. And I haven't cried in an election since I was in Kennedy Airport and I watched Al Gore after the conflict with George Bush. And there was a whole question about what actually happened in that election. And Al Gore conceded the presidency to George Bush. And he said, democracy is bigger, right, than any one person, right? And that the orderly transfer of power, right, and the beauty of that made me cry. And yesterday, as I watched, right, on Friday and then last night, and I watched the replays, right, of everything that happened yesterday, right, and I watched commentators on Fox News and writers in the Wall Street Journal, which are on the Republican side, right, of the American political divide. And I watched them stand for democracy. And I watched Republican legislators stand for democracy. And I felt the power of democracy. The power of democracy. And Joe Biden won the election. And Donald Trump has complete appropriate legal recourse, as Democrats have done many times, to challenge the election in courts. And as the Biden campaign people said correctly, he should. That's the gorgeousness of a democracy. And when that's over, I'm going to say something dramatic. I trust that Donald Trump will gracefully concede to Joe Biden and exit gracefully. Right? I trust that that's what's going to happen. And I trust, right, that underneath Democrat and Republican, and this is what Joe Biden was saying last night, there's a shared vision. And it's deeper than a shared vision of America. It's a shared vision of what it means to be a human being. And that we actually know that which unites us, right, is far greater than that which divides us. So I cried yesterday, right? I cried yesterday. Now I want to say one more thing in just setting intention. And I want to kind of just say this in the beginning. Okay? That doesn't mean that we think that there's not significant differences. That doesn't mean that, there's not enormous pain, right? It doesn't mean that the pain can't be transformed. And we're going to take a ride today, and we're going to listen to different voices, and we're going to weave together something new. Okay? So who's ready? Are we ready to actually evolve the source code? Who's ready? Who's ready to evolve the source code? Who's ready to actually step in and go beyond the mainstream media and beyond the right-wing media and beyond the left-wing media and beyond the Twitter mobs? Are we ready? Are we ready to actually be evolutionary mystics? Are we ready to be outrageous lovers? Are we ready to actually raise, right, the resonance of this take this to the next level? And that's what Joe Biden called for last night. He called for a return of soul. He called for an end to demonization. You can't end demonization unless you have daemonization, right? When we don't have a shared daemon, then we demonize, and the other becomes a demon, okay? So today, everyone's in the circle. Today, no one's left out. Today, there's not 74 against 70. There's 144 million people who have a shared story, right? Who have a shared vision. And yes, they disagree about things that are fundamental. And some of those are worth staking everything on. And underneath that, there's a shared heart. There's a one heart, and there's one love. And that's what we're going for today. Okay, are you ready? Are we ready? Are we ready? We're ready to play a larger game. Are we ready to be here in one mountain, many paths, right? To actually play that, there's a Da Vinci moment, right? To actually articulate this new story, this new vision in this moment, and to bring the voices together, right, in a way that we never have before. And Paul K., I just see that you wrote something. I got your note on Facebook. It was just sent to me, right, a couple of days ago, and I will respond. Thank you very much. Okay. I look forward to that. Okay. Are we ready? We're ready. So David, we're going to do the order a little bit differently today. David, read us the code and just blow us away, David. Right? Let's feel that code in every word. Here we go. Take us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mark. It's so good to be celebrating with everyone today. And, I'm looking forward to embracing, every voter and friend. You may know that my dad is actually, he and I have had a lot of contentious political conversations over the years. And we made an agreement a few weeks ago. I said, we can have these conversations as long as we are respectful, learning, open to learning each other's perspective, and have a genuine dialogue. And if any of those three things break down, the conversation stops. And I think that we really reached a point where we could really see each other in a new way. And I'm looking forward to doing that with everyone I know and don't know here on out. So let's look at this code. Let's resonate at a deeper level to find our deepest drive that can unite a country and our world. This week's evolutionary love code. That which unites us is far greater than that which divides us. We are united in a shared story of value. That does not make us perfect expressions of that value. We're all imperfect vessels for the light, holy and broken hallelujahs. We must move beyond demonizations to daemonization. It is only the loss of daemon that turns us into demon. When we're not inside the circle together, we place others outside the circle as a way of pretending that we are inside. Only a shared story based on first values and first principles serves as the ground for a global ethos for a global civilization. And I turn my word to you, beloved Dr. Mark.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, David. So we got the phrase, everyone. Let's see if we can get it in the chat box. It's from demonization to daemonization. It's a shared daemon. It's a shared, unique cultural, spiritual pattern. It's a shared set of values. That's what we mean by a new story. But you cannot move. I want to get this really clear, everybody, okay? Then we're going to go to Amor. We're going to hear our Amor. You cannot move, right, from demonization, which is what Joe Biden correctly called for last night, unless you have daemonization. And daemonization means I know who I am. I have a shared value, right? I have a shared story. And since I have a shared story, it means I'm in Eros. When I'm in Eros, then there's room for all of us. We can actually find our way. We can find our deeper shared story. But if I don't have a daemon, then only by making you a demon do I have an identity. If I'm not inside the circle, I'm not an Eros. Only by casting you outside the circle do I become inside the circle. That's not Eros, that's pseudo-Eros. So a shared story is the essence of the whole thing. And we're going to go so deep into this today, okay? We're going to change the source code together. And I'm so honored and delighted. We're all so honored and delighted just to be here with each other, okay? So let's just take a second in the chat box, right? And can we just love each other in the chat box? Just love you all. Let's just love each other, okay? Let's just find that place where we're just kind of like, who's just up for it? Just to say, oh my God, love you. Oh my God, I love you. I'm so happy to be with you today. And that love means something, right? It doesn't mean I'm going to marry you. It doesn't mean, right? It's not ordinary love, right? It's outrageous love, but it's the love that's the heart of existence itself. And let's let that love explode. That love that says that that which unites us is so much greater than that which divides us. That's Amor. That's Amor. That's Homo Amor. That's I'm a unique incarnation of the love intelligence, right? I have a shared identity. That's the beginning of a shared value. So let's go to Amor. We're going to go deep step by step today, right? It's a critical week. It's a critical moment to weave the source code together, right? All the way. Okay. We ready? Okay, here we go. So take us in, Christina Amelon, to Amor. Amor means not ordinary love. It means outrageous love. It's the love that's the heart of existence itself, that pulses in the heart of all of cosmos, from atoms all the way through plants and animals to human beings. Nothing is outside of Amor. Take us inside. Christina Amelon Daly, take us inside. Here we go. Yay. Oh my God, amor, 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 amor. Right, can you hear that, everyone? Can you feel that? Shahati, thank you. Thank you. Just let's thank Shahati, right? Everybody, right? Amor, right? Amor, and there's this wall of amors, and Shahati just added this gorgeous jewel, and then everyone's invited, right, to actually play, sing amor, right? You can imitate me and have a bad voice. We don't need a perfect voice, right? I do it every week, right? You just need a heart that's open, and that's your heart. One heart, one love. Okay, so add your voice, right, to the hall of amor and make an amor. You can make it on your iPhone, however you make it is perfect, right? Just the melody, the tune, the on tune is the on tune purity and gorgeousness of your heart. So Shahati, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh my God. So friends, we're going to do this a little differently today. We're going to do our prayer at the end. Okay. We'll do our prayer at the end, right? In between, we'll do prayer in between the end of our one church and first principles, or kind of we'll do a short first principles, we'll do it at the end of first principles. We're gonna do a big prayer, but the reason I wanna do it at a little later, not in the beginning, because I wanna try and bring our whole conversation into the prayer, right? So we can actually bring everything that we're gonna talk about, this whole conversation, we can bring into the prayer big time. Okay, you guys ready? Are we ready to go? Who's ready to go? Who's ready? Who's ready? Who's ready? Are we ready? Let's do this. Okay, let's do this. Let's evolve the source code. Okay, let's read this code. Let's read this code. Here we go. Okay, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. Okay, so that which unites us is far greater than that which divides us. We're united in a shared story, right? A value. That doesn't make us perfect expressions of that value. We're all imperfect vessels for the light, holy and broken hallelujahs. We have to move beyond demonization to daemonization, right? That shared vision, that shared destiny, right? It's only the loss of daemon that turns us into demon, and then we turn everyone else into demon. We project our own sense of being demon because we've lost daemon. When we're not inside the circle together, we place others outside as a way of pretending that we're on the inside, right? Only a shared story based on first values and first principles serves as the ground for global ethos to a global civilization. Now, I understand that politics isn't there yet, and we need to get there, right? It's not there yet. There's not a shared set of first values and first principles that have been articulated, not on the conservative side or the liberal side, but now we got to go deep, okay? And we're going to go on a ride, okay? And you're going to think, wow, okay, now I get where we're going. And then we're going to take a turn in the complete opposite direction. And we're in celebration. Our mood is celebration. And it's also, we're trembling before evolution as evolution itself. We are the leading edge of evolution. We are in this Da Vinci moment between utopia and dystopia, right? We are actually responsible for articulating the next level. And so there's lots of people who are responsible to protest, right? And all the Trump people have every right to protest and say Trump should go to court and support, right, as one of the key Biden officials said last night, and support the legal process in a democracy, which allows for recounts, which is fantastic. So gorgeous, right? And all the people who are celebrating should totally celebrate. And of course, the court challenges are going to amount to nothing, right? They're not going to actually change the result, but it's a fair and beautiful process. That's what's so beautiful. It's gorgeous. That's holy. So let's stay in this together, okay? Now, we're going to now take 10 steps. You're ready? Here's step one. If someone wants to write step one, let's write step one. And I want to try and do this carefully, okay? So one, here's step one. So I want to tell you, I voted for Joe Biden, okay? And I'm going to tell you why. And there's an enormous, I read regularly the Wall Street Journal. I listen to, Fox News in America, but more importantly, I read more serious position papers, right, of both the right and the left. And there's an entire set of issues that are far more complex than they seem, right? There's things that are ascribed to Trump that Obama was doing as well, right? There's China policies. There's all sorts of issues. There's deregulation, the ability to start a business. There's lots and lots of issues on which, right, one could take a complex set of positions, right? And I understand that. And I'm neither Democrat nor Republican. Nonetheless, I made a decision. I went out of my way to get a mail-in ballot to vote for Joe Biden and to take issue with something. Here's what I wanted to take issue with. My colleague, and we've had dinner at his house and we've driven together and talked, my colleague, Dennis Prager. I haven't talked to him in many years, but we were friendly for a period of time. We come from kind of the same, village, if you will, right? In the world of American culture. And, Dennis runs something called Prager University. And Dennis, like, a Wall Street Journal editorial, one of them that I read, this morning, Dennis's basic position is something like, right? And something like, you don't have to believe a single word of the media's hysterical hyperbole about Trump these last 4 years to think this man is lacking in character, right? He's lacking the character of the men and women who made this country the greatest nation on earth. You don't have to think he's Hitler's heir to be massively alarmed by his cavalier disregard for small matters like the independence of the judiciary, the proper use of power, or even just truth. You don't have to think he takes personal joy in incarcerating children in cages to worry that his underdeveloped capacity for empathy has made him especially unfit for the crisis of these years. You don't have to believe he's Bill Connor and Obama, who was a racist, to worry that his rhetoric and manner have done harm to the nation's fragile social contract. So this is the Wall Street Journal writing. What they're basically saying is, yeah, we get that there's a lot of hyperbole and hysteria against Trump, but there's 4 or 5 things in which the dude is bad news. And then they say, yet for all his faults, for all the legitimate fears stoked by the last 4 years, it's not immoral or irrational to think that the incumbent Trump still represents a better alternative to what's on offer. And then they explain, why, despite all that, they supported Trump. And the basic argument is, which I think is wrong, and I think it needs to be said clearly, and I want to say it clearly. The basic argument is, yes, Trump is a massively flawed, disastrous, right, leader, right? Wow. Okay. Nonetheless, we think for these next 10 reasons, right, he's a better choice than the alternative. And the basic argument is we're interested in the policies of a president, not his character. So in general, stay close with me, everyone. In general, I believe that argument to be true, right? Meaning the personal conduct of a president, let's say a president has an affair, right? That's between him and his wife and his partner, and that's not our issue, right? Let's say there's a whole series of issues on which you could say, legitimately, we're interested more in that person's policies, right? John F. Kennedy, right? I like John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy was not a paragon of virtue, right? And his father, Joe Kennedy, stole the 1960 election, as we know, on the Democratic side, right? Nonetheless, Kennedy's policies, but you could actually say that Kennedy's character issues were of a personal nature. Trump crossed a line, and the line that he crossed was a kind of abusive undermining of fundamental shared values. And I'm just going to give you one example. I'm not going to give you any of the examples that you think. I'll give you a completely different example. I was sitting, and he's actually here tonight. Right? I was sitting, he's here with us in One Mountain Many Paths today. I was sitting at my friend Terry's house. He remembers it was the second presidential debate. It was the second presidential debate between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And quite a few people that I knew that are very well-known libertarians and liberals were actually supporting Trump. And then Trump basically responding to a question from Hillary, which was basically about why don't you pay contractors, right? You have people come work at your different projects. Let's say you have a painter, but then you wind up not paying them, right? You don't pay a whole slew of people. And you do it because you can get away with it. You've got more lawyers than they, right? And you do it as part of your business deal. You actually stiff people that you owe money to have worked for you. And he basically said, that's good business. He said, that's what good business is. At that moment, he lost me. That's good business, right? That's good business, right? That's a violation of an essential structure of value in Cosmos. And tragically, Trump has stepped over the line of, right, the personal moral character of the president, right, as divorced from their policy. He's actually violated core structures, right, of value that can't be forgiven. And so therefore, right, I had no choice, right, but to actually, right, step up, right, mail in my ballot, right, and vote for Joe Biden, right, which is what I did. Now I want you to stay with me. So the Republican response to this is, and when I say we all have to create a shared story, doesn't mean we have to agree on everything. That's not the point. This is not, right, we efface all distinctions and we all kind of, link hands together and sing Kumbaya. That's not how we create a shared story. That's nonsense. Right? We got to create a shared story from the depths. So I want to go the next step, and it's really important to get this. It's not that the Democrats, right, all through history, do not have their massive shares of corruption, including invading states, assassinating people, covert CIA operations, corruption on every possible level, right? Of course, there's corruption, both the Republican and the Democratic side. Anyone who intelligently reads the Wall Street Journal carefully, brilliant writers, knows that's true. Right? Of course, that's true. Of course, corruption's not a Democrat or a Republican thing. But I want to say something, it's subtle and it's deep, and I want you to get it. Trump lost the importance of hypocrisy, right? Of course there's hypocrisy, but Trump actually removed hypocrisy. And I want you to get what that means. Meaning, hypocrisy means I've got a set of values and I don't live up to them. So there's a standard of value and I'm a hypocrite, right? So even though I hold that standard of value, I become drunk with power. I become ambitious. I become greedy, right? I'm making trade-offs, okay? So that's what's always happened in politics. Trump crossed the line. And the line he crossed is he said, I'm not a hypocrite. Meaning, I don't have any of those standards of value. That's tragic. Give me a hypocrite any day. But when you actually undermine the core category of shame, which is, well, I'm ashamed that I did that because that violates our shared standard of value, then you've crossed a line. Then what you're actually doing is you're infusing into the world body politic an undermining of the core notion of value itself. You've undermined value itself. You can't undermine value itself. That's not okay. Okay? So I just first want to say that, right? Because if I don't say that, then I myself, then we're doing kumbaya here. So I think it was necessary, and therefore I think there's cause for celebration, right? Trump, for that reason, forget about all the policy issues, Trump needed to be removed from office. So that's one, okay? And I'm going to show you an entirely different perspective in a couple of minutes. But first, I want to kind of see if we can kind of just grasp that together. So I want to show you, so you get a sense of it, right, of a clip from Van Jones, right, who's an American activist, right, who's responding, right, to kind of his experience, right, yesterday when Biden is declared the victor. And Christina Amelon-Tahaley, take us in, if you can, to that Van Jones clip. Let's take a look at it. Okay, here we go.
Well, it's easier to be a parent this morning. It's easier to be a dad. It's easier to tell your kids character matters. It matters. Telling the truth matters. Being a good person matters. And it's easier for a whole lot of people. If you're Muslim in this country, you don't have to worry if the president doesn't want you here. If you're an immigrant, you don't have to worry if the president's going to be happier to have babies snatched away or send dreamers back for no reason. This is vindication for a lot of people who have really suffered. You know, the I can't breathe. You know, that wasn't just George Floyd. That was a lot of people that felt that they couldn't breathe. Every day you're waking up and you're getting these tweets and you just don't know, and you're going to the store and people who have been afraid to show their racism are getting nastier and nastier to you, and you're worried about your kids and you're worried about your sister. And can she just go to Walmart and get back into her car without somebody saying something to her? And you spent so much of your life energy just trying to hold it together. And this is a big deal for us just to be able to get some peace and have a chance for a reset. And the character of the country matters. And being a good man matters. You know, I just want my sons to look at this. Look at this. You know, it's easy to do it the cheap way and get away with stuff, but it comes back around. It comes back around. And it's a good day for this country. I'm sorry for the people who lost. For them, it's not a good day. But for a whole lot of people, it's a good day.
Yeah. Okay. So let's come back together, okay? And I want to say that we can make this a good day for everyone. But I want you to feel the depth of what Van Jones said, and that's important, right? He's expressing something that's important, right? No one in the United States, when I say no one, I mean virtually no one, obviously, right, would want to say to their child, right, I want you to grow up and be Donald Trump. That was not a set of values. The evangelicals, right, who supported Trump did not say, I want my kids to grow up to be Donald Trump, right? The entire world of the United States was, whether or not they thought the alternative was worse, right, felt in some fundamental way violated by one dimension of Trump, which is the tragic dimension of Trump, which is the impulsive, demeaning, right, insulting, right, the extemporaneous insult, right, the saying to a widow, right, your husband's not going to heaven because of what he did. I mean, kind of a level of meanness, right? And that level of meanness, by the way, exploded in the first presidential debate. And I know a whole group of people who were going to vote for Trump as a protest vote. And when they saw that meanness in the first presidential debate, it just shocked them. And it was tragic. It was tragic. It fundamentally insulted value. Okay. And that's really important. And now let's take it the next step. Now we're going to flip perspectives and we're going to realize that the people that supported Trump, it's not that they were against value. And it's not that it's a bunch of what we call in America rednecks, or it's not what Hillary Clinton called a basket of deplorables. No, actually, the people that support Trump are actually the vast majority wonderful human beings on many, many levels, right? And clearly, right, there's a shared story that we all have together. So let's take a look now at the other side of the story. Let's actually do it together. And we're going to take a look at a woman who's a supporter of Bernie Sanders, okay, who's far left, who's a liberal psychotherapist, right, who did not change. She's still a supporter of Bernie Sanders. I want you to get that. She's still a far left liberal supporter of Bernie Sanders, but she's going to tell her story in a second. She went to a Donald Trump rally. And I want you to listen to this carefully, and don't listen to it and figure out why she's wrong, especially the last couple lines, right? Figure out what she's saying. So take us inside, right, to Catherine Borisenko, right, who is, and now speak about her experience. And let's open our hearts and let's raise this up. Take us inside, right, to Haley. Yay.
I wouldn't be caught dead at a Donald Trump rally. I mean, come on. I've given money to Bernie. And yet there I was, February 2020, listening to the President of the United States address a crowd of 11,000 supporters. How in the world did that happen? Well, it all started with knitting. I knit to relax, to escape the drama of real life. But like almost everything nowadays, even knitting has become political, to the point that only those with politically correct views are welcome in the online knitting forums. You think I'm kidding. I wish I were, but I'm not. The online knitting mob is real, And like all mobs, it's mean. That always made me uncomfortable, the insults and the name calling. But I despised those knuckle-dragging Republicans as much as the next knitter. So despite my discomfort, I never gave it much thought. Truth is, I'm more interested in mastering a 3-needle bind-off than discussing immigration policy. But the knitting mob wouldn't drop it. It became a fixation, a daily litany of how horrible the president and his followers were. It started to bug me. All I wanted to do was knit. But then I began to wonder, could those Trump supporters, some of whom were literally my neighbors, really be as irredeemable as they said? I assumed the answer was yes, but I had to find out. And that is how I came to be at a rally for the president on the eve of the New Hampshire primary. My friends urged me not to go. They feared for my safety. One offered me her pepper spray for protection. I declined, but I won't pretend I wasn't nervous. I had no idea what to expect. I arrived 4 hours early. The line outside the arena was already a mile long. At first, I said nothing to those around me. I didn't want to provoke a scene. But then, as people are wont to do when stuck in a long line, we started to chat. First pleasantries, and then to more serious topics. And here's what I discovered. These people were so nice. No one harassed me, no one intimidated me, no one threatened me. In fact, when I mentioned I was a Democrat, their response was invariably a smile and welcome. These were decent, hardworking people from every walk of life. Electricians, lawyers, school teachers, small business owners, veterans. I might question some of the policies they supported. They were only too happy to debate me. But I couldn't question their good intentions or decency. Inside, the atmosphere was electric, more like a rock concert than a political event. People were dancing and having a fantastic time. They were actually enjoying themselves. As it happens, 2 days earlier, I had been in this same arena for a Democratic Party rally. The contrast was stark. Whereas the event for the president was full of optimism and enthusiasm, the Democrats' event was all doom and gloom. The country was racked with racism, sexism, and xenophobia. At the Trump event, the participants were bursting with national pride. Of course, the president touted his achievements, especially the economy, and attacked his opponents. But I was surprised how funny he was, and his energy never flagged. He seemed to be enjoying the event every bit as much as his audience. Here's something else that surprised me. While the crowd had obvious affection for the country's chief executive, there was nothing slavish or mindless about it. These people were not stupid, not brainwashed, and as far as I could tell, not racist, sexist, or phobic anything. So, did going to a Trump rally change me? Well, my values are the same, but my perspective is different. I'll even say the experience made me a better person. I learned that the people who come to these rallies aren't there because they hate anybody. They're there because they love America. Somewhere between Pearl 1, Knit 2, I had lost that love. Now I have it again, and I'm grateful. The rally also reminded me that we are a people. Yes, we have fierce disagreements on how to solve our problems, but those who differ with us are not evil. Thinking that they are, that's the problem. That's what's tearing us apart. I refuse to add to the divisiveness any longer. I refuse to hate people I don't know simply because I don't like the way they vote. I invite you to join me. Let's make America civil again. If we can do that, we'll all win. I'm Carlin Burisenko, independent voter for Prager University.
Okay, now remember, stay close with this. I'm not suggesting, right, that we endorse Prager University, right? I've already said that I disagree fundamentally with Dennis, and I sent in my mail-in ballot, and I voted for Joe Biden, right? So I've made my position clear. And you get why who gets why that video is important? Just anyone, who gets it? Just give me yeses. Anybody get it, right? You get it? Get why that matters? That matters enormously. We demonize the other. That's what Joe Biden said last night, an end to demonization. And I'm sure he would have loved this video, right? It's an end to demonization. The demonization of the other is only when there's no shared daemon. And one of the things that lives, that exists, is there's a meanness in woke culture. There's a meanness in progressive culture. And actually, and to really get this, the Democrats are actually correct when they analyze the vote for Joe Biden, which was in part a vote for Joe Biden, which he clearly deserves. He's a man that's filled with compassion, right? Who's given a life of service, and he deserves our every respect. And right, the vote for Joe Biden, right, was one kind of vote. The vote for Trump was not a vote for Trump. It wasn't, wow, we love Trump. The vote for Trump was a vote against, right? The overwhelming majority of people, based on the best analysis today, if you collate it and integrate it, which I've been doing for about a year. I must have read 1,000 pieces, but not newspaper pieces, deeper level pieces, right? It was a vote against wokeness. It was a vote against what was perceived as a woke left political culture, right? And the feeling was that that political culture was fundamentally violating. Now, I want to get, right, why this is a big deal and why this matter. Wokeness, the word wokeness is a word in America, Rob, which means politically correct, right? Politically correct culture that says we're woke, we're awake, right? Everybody else is not awake, right? And our politically correct way of seeing the world's the right way. And anyone who doesn't see it our way is just a bad human being. That's called wokeness. Okay, yay. So I want to give you guys a really a painful example. A bunch of people send me a dialogue of Sam Harris, right? And Sam Harris is an American public intellectual, right? A larger conversation, who he is and what he's doing. You know, he's a materialist, right? Meaning his basic notion is that the world is only material, and yet he's an avid meditator. Right, interesting person who I take sharp exception to on many, many matters, and he's doing a good job, right, in other ways. So I got in my inbox, right before the election, a couple of days before the election, I got a bunch of people that send me a podcast, a lone podcast he did. And in this podcast, he said, okay, I finally figured out why anybody votes for Trump. I've never understood why anybody could vote for Trump. Who are these people? Right? Why are they voting for Trump? And here's what he said. He said, Trump offers what no priest credibly can offer, a total expiation of shame. His personal shamelessness is kind of a spiritual salve. Trump is fat Jesus. He's grabbed them by the pussy Jesus. He's I'll eat cheeseburgers if I want to Jesus. He's punched them in the face Jesus. Right? And that's basically right? He's no apologies, Jesus. And so, and then he goes on and he says something. He says, the reason people like Trump, because, and I'm going to give you the exact, because Trump has no sanctimony. The word sanctimony means he's not making himself better than you. And he goes on and he says, even when Trump is praising himself, right, still it's very clear, right, that he's a bundle of sin and gore. Right? That's Sam Harris's phrase. He's a bundle of sin and gore, and he never pretends or even aspires to be more. So he offers a truly safe space for human frailty and hypocrisy, right? A total atoning of shame. That's why people vote for him, because he actually allows them to be with all of their own disgusting nature without being morally superior. So I want you to get this, okay? This is a very big deal. Right, and I came to this conclusion, a colleague of mine, right, in that we worked together in the old days, right, came to the same conclusion, right, but I want you to get this. This is a very big deal. What Sam Harris just did was he just insulted 70 million Americans, right, and just demeaned them, right, exactly what we're accusing Trump of, right, Harris just did. He just did that. He just said that 70 million Americans, right, basically, right, are attracted, and it's the entire traditional America, right? The evangelical, traditional, blue collar, working class America, right? That whole group of people, plus all the minorities that voted for Trump, and he got a big bump in minorities. The reason they voted for him is because, right, he allows them to get rid of their shame about their own disgustingness. That's horrible. That's horrible. That's terrible. That's utterly mean. Right? That's mean modernity, right? And it's not the case, right? It's not the case. Of course, that's true about some people. right? But of course, and let's go deeper for a second. If we can go deeper, we can actually come together, right, as Joe Biden called us to do, and move beyond demonization. In other words, exactly what Joe Biden said is, don't do what Sam Harris just did, right? Don't demean 70 million people. I didn't say that they're basically filled with shame, and Trump allows them to get rid of their shame at their own disgusting nature. That's a disaster, right? You get that, everybody? So stay close here, okay? So what should we do? So let's find our way. Okay, let's find our way. So, and I want to really get this clear. The majority of voters, of course, Trump has a hardcore group of kind of people who are deeply into the cult of personality of Trump. But for lots and lots of good reason, there's lots of information that says that the overwhelming majority of votes for Trump were votes against something, right? They felt ignored, or they felt that critical values were rejected. And I want you to come back now, and it's not, and stay close with me, it's not that Trump himself embodies those values. Of course he doesn't. That's not the point. Does everyone get that? It's not that he embodies those values, but I want you to get what the values are. And there's two sets of values. Number one, what did Catherine Borisenko say at the end of her video? She said, they weren't there because the people at the Trump rally, they weren't there because they hated someone, but because they loved America. Okay? And what was Trump's motto? Make America great again. So what Trump stood for was a kind of patriotism. Now, not, again, I want to ask everyone to go deeper. So now everyone's going to think to themselves, but Trump is this and Trump is that. Let go of Trump, the person. That's not the point here. Let's go deeper here. Think deeper, right? In essence, the feeling was, right, for those 70 million people, that a dimension of the far left had hijacked the conversation in America, and that the far left had hijacked the conversation for the last 25 years, in which America had become an evil place. America was demeaned. America was denigrated, right? America was painted as the paragon, right, of all evil. And there was a sense that the fundamental experience of being ethnocentric, that I get to love my country, not in a fascist way, not in a fascist, terrible way, but I get to love my country and I get to be proud of my country, right, in some fundamental and important way, right? That's important, right? And Trump spoke to ethnocentricity. Now, stay close with me. Stay close. Trump, the way he expressed the ethnocentric, I want everyone to get this really clear. He expressed the shadow version, the terrible version of ethnocentricity. Does everyone get that? Everyone get that really clearly? He was the shadow version of ethnocentricity. But he was all people had. And it was very much a religious population. And just like King David, right, in the Book of Kings, right, does many sins, but he's the king. So the sense of Trump was, we don't really care about Trump, but at least he's speaking to this value of ethnocentricity, right? And yes, he's doing it in a terrible way. But the reason those 70 million people didn't go with the left, because the left refused to actually, right, embrace and love America in a way that they could feel in their hearts and bodies and souls. And that's one of the important things that I pray Joe Biden will do. And I think he began to do it last night, to actually speak, right, in this beautiful centrist way for loving America. And to the precise extent that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will embrace that ethnocentric value, right, because there's a healthy ethnocentrism. I get to love America. That's an expression of love. That's beautiful. Right? And I get to love American men. I don't want to demonize men, and I don't want to demonize America, right? And I don't want to give every American man, right, the feeling that they are Islamophobic and they're transgender phobic, right, and they're racist and right, and they're xenophobic, right, and they're right. You know, it's the basic sense that you're basically a horrible human being. And as Margaret Mead said correctly to James Baldwin, right, you cannot hold every American, right, alive today accountable, right, for the mistakes of 100 years ago. We can say we're going to go to heal and repair and transform those mistakes, but you can't actually be woke, politically correct, and shame everyone, right? And what's basically happened is the culture of wokeness has become a shaming culture, right? It's become a shaming culture in which, in which facts are no longer gathered, evidence is no longer properly gathered, fair structures of justice are no longer in play, right? There's positives to the cancel culture, but there's a lot of negatives, which means you don't gather information, you don't check evidence, right? The entire notion of justice and integrity has gotten shattered, right? And America's made evil. And that's what 70 million people said isn't true. And that's what Joe Biden agreed with. And so the end of demonization it's the end of the demonization of those 70 million, but it's also the end of the demonization of America. That's one. That's a very big deal. Okay, this is so big. This is so important. We have to embrace, right, a kind of healthy ethnocentricity. And what Sam Harris did is, right, he basically caricatured, right, that whole population. Now, his caricature is accurate about Trump. It's accurate about Trump, but it's not accurate about the 70 million people who supported him. Did you ever get that distinction? I'm going to go to the second piece. Here's the second piece. And the second piece that 70 million people take super seriously is they take God seriously. They don't just give lip service to God, right? They take God seriously. And that's a big deal. Now, some of them have notions of God that I think are regressive. And some of them, right, there's lots of issues with that. But basically their experience of life, right, is that God's at the center. Now you're saying, but for Trump, God's not at the center. He's a lying hypocrite. That's not the point, right? King David, right, did a bunch of lying and he killed Uriah and he slept with Bathsheba. So from their perspective, okay, so he's this imperfect, crazy, terrible guy. But at least he's willing, right, to give lip service, whatever he believes or doesn't believe, right, to our churches and to take them seriously. Right? That's their experience. Their experience is that the woke, politically correct left actually has no sense of objective value, no sense of, right, of devotion, right, to the larger God force, right, and actually ridicules and mocks, right, those basic values, which for them are, and for me, are a lived experience. And forget about all the ways that they hijack it the wrong way. The basic experience is that there's a personal presence in the universe that knows our name and loves us. That's it. There's a personal presence in the universe, a God force that knows our name and loves us. Now, there's a lot of, again, what we've tried to do here in One Mountain, Many Paths is to evolve those ideas in a very big idea. What we're actually doing here, and we're going to do this we're going to do this in our section on first values and first principles, we've actually evolved a shared language. That's actually what we're doing here. We're actually evolving that shared language, which can be a genuine shared language for all 144 million people. But just to really get this, it's a very big deal, right? The support for Trump is not for Donald Trump, the person, right? It's actually a sense that there's values that the left has rejected that feel vitally important to people, okay? Now, that's really important to get this. It's really important to get it, meaning in modernity, there's shadow mean forms and there's beautiful forms of modernity. In traditional culture, there's shadow mean forms and there's beautiful forms. Donald Trump personally, and in postmodernity, there are shadow mean forms of postmodernity and there are beautiful forms. The reason I voted against Donald Trump, because Donald Trump brought together in one person the shadow forms of traditionalism, right? Meaning he used ethnocentric love of America, right, as a tool, as a weapon, right, as a violation of value. He's a shadow form of modernity, which is about business, but for him, business was a completely corrupt enterprise, which you could not pay people who worked for you because you could get away with it. And, right, he brought together shadow forms of postmodernity, because postmodernity is about post-truth, but he made post-truth into a permission to disregard truth at a level that's never been disregarded, right, in public culture in the United States ever. So Trump tragically himself in his person brought together the shadow forms of traditionalism, modernity, and postmodernity. So there was no moral choice from my perspective but to vote against him. And I can do that and hold and understand what Catherine Borisenko, right, a Bernie liberal supporter, saw at a Trump rally. It wasn't, right? It was that, first off, the person Trump has got complex other sides, number one. an enormous amount of energy, right? And a kind of accessibility. But more important than that, values, ethnocentricity, right? Loving America, right? Loving God, right? They felt that that had gotten abandoned, and they're not completely wrong, right? The expression, the progressive world has demonized America, right? In a real way. And there's a legitimate critique of America. So what do we need to do? So we need to come together and create a shared story. Okay, so what would the shared story look like? And I'm not going to go into first values and first principles now. I just want to just on 5 levels, right? Just in 2 seconds, here's what we can do. On the one hand, we can actually embrace, see, woke culture is not bad either. And let's not demonize woke culture. There's a demonized form of woke culture, and there's a healthy, awake form of woke culture. Political correctness is not all wrong. Some of it's right. Cancel culture is not all wrong. Some of it's right. So how would we bring this together? So I want just in a few sentences, friends, just in a few sentences, I want to see how could we bring this together, and we're going to bring this right to a close. Okay, here we go. 1, we affirm the greatness of America. Okay, and there's going to be 5 clauses here. Number 1, we affirm the greatness of America. Right? America has given more aid, more investment, right? Died on shores around the world, right? Has acted as a leader in the world in 1,000 different ways, right? One of the things I'm most proud of is people come to America as refugees and historically have been absorbed, integrated. America is a great melting pot, right? There's a reason why people aren't moving to Russia. They're moving to America, right? 2 million Black people moved to America in the last couple of decades. Why? Because it's a gorgeous place. America, as Joe Biden said last night, America is a place of possibility. It's a gorgeous possibility. I am proud to be American. I'm proud of America. I love America. Okay, wow, we can say that. And stay with me. And in the next sentence, I can say, and America, not uniquely, but like the rest of the world, America in the mid-19th century had slavery. And that's real. And then America had Jim Crow laws. And then America had redlining, right? And America, right? America's made genuine mistakes. And even though we didn't do them, we're responsible for America. There's a covenant between generations. And we've actually reached a higher level of moral consciousness. And this is the correct statement of woke left culture. We've reached a higher level of moral consciousness, which was acceptable 40 years ago is not acceptable today. So you don't get to slaughter animals who are tortured for 3 months so you can have lamb chop. That's not awake, right? You don't get to actually have a country in which a disproportionate amount of its resources go to one population and there's not at least equal opportunity. Equal outcome, no one can guarantee, but there's got to be a fair playing field. If there's not a fair playing field, it's not okay. Okay? It's not okay that Google pays no taxes. It's not okay that Amazon virtually doesn't pay taxes at all and pays its workers $14 an hour. Not okay. Okay, so in other words, it's possible to be madly proud of America, to be proud of American history, to be proud of American accomplishment, and to be fiercely demanding, as Barack Obama has said, that America is a dream in progress and we've got to take America the next step, right? And we've got to actually make America accountable, right, to its own highest self, right? And we can say that there still are vestiges in this country, even though it's in the history of planet Earth, right? As a multicultural country, it probably has less racism historically than any other country. That's not enough. There still is systemic racism in America. That's a fact. And that's not okay. We can embrace both of those. Does everyone get that? We can embrace both of those, right? So we can actually correct American misdeeds and have full American pride. Okay? Let's go another step. I want to kind of get the next step. We can stand for, right, a huge necessity for a vibrant global economy, because global economy creates human dignity, right, and creates jobs. And I can stand for the importance of a global economy. It's not just money, it's dignity and jobs, right, for billions of people, right? And we can stand absolutely for the utter necessity to protect the environment. And those are not contradictory values. That's not a left-right. The right says global economy, right? The left says, no, we can stand for both of them, right? we can actually be fiercely honoring and venerate the legacy of the best that we've received with huge honor and a massive commitment, right, to the memory of the future and to what's possible and what's our moral obligation to do, because we have a new level of moral consciousness. And we have to actually embrace, here's the last two sentences, we have to embrace the United States, the best of progressive culture, and to critique its shadows. We have to embrace the best of modernity and to critique its shadows. We have to embrace the best of traditional culture and to critique its shadows. We have to weave those three into something larger than the sum of the parts. So here's a prayer. Here's a prayer, right? The prayer is that, oh my God, this is a new moment. That, oh my God, let the 70 million people, right, who actually didn't support Donald Trump, the person, but wanted there to be recognition of loving America and recognition of loving God. Let loving God and loving America be in their most beautiful form, legitimate and gorgeous and beautiful values at the center of American and world society. And when we say loving God, the God you don't believe in doesn't exist. Not a xenophobic God, not a homophobic God, right? We need to actually evolve, right, and clarify our perception of God. Right? Wow, right? And let the new leaders of America, right, let them embrace this new vision and this new vision of value and this new possibility. You know, in the end, God holds us and God lives in us. God is the possibility of possibility. And America is the possibility of possibility. And Europe's the possibility of possibility. And humanity is God come alive in human form. The intention of cosmos, evolution, right, is the possibility of possibility. This is a moment for a greater vision, right? This is a moment for a greater possibility. Okay, wow. Wow. And I want to end right today with something really beautiful, which was from Aeschylus. And it was a poem that Biden has quoted, and it was actually a poem that my childhood hero, Bobby Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, who was a man who went through a transformation, came from a privileged family, was mean-spirited on 1,000 different grounds and probably corrupt. And when his brother was killed between 1963 and 67, he went through an incredible transformation and changed the world. It became, his heart opened in a big way. So Kennedy used to love this poem. I'm going to read it to you. It's even in our sleep, pain which we cannot forget falls drop by drop upon the heart, until in our own despair, against our will, comes wisdom through the awful grace of God. I'm gonna give it to you one more time, okay? And maybe if someone can in the chat box, let's see if we can even get it down. Thank you, right? Even in our sleep, pain, which we cannot forget, falls drop by drop upon the heart, until in our own despair, right, against our will, right, comes wisdom through the awful grace of God. So we're going to go into the chat box and we're going to take all of this, right, into prayer, into the holy and the broken hallelujah. And I'm going to ask everyone to kind of stay close now, okay? Right? Don't run off. Let's stay and let's actually be with Leonard Cohen deeply together. Then let's take everything we did today, right? Our activist evolution of the source code, and let's bring it into prayer. And let's pray like we've never prayed before. So take us inside. Leonard Cohen, hymn, Holy and Broken Hallelujah. Take us inside. Here we go.
Now I've heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah. You say I took the name in vain. I don't even know the name. But if I did, well really, what's it to you? There's a blaze of light in every word. It doesn't matter which you heard, the holy or the broken. Hallelujah. I did my best, it wasn't much. I couldn't feel, so I tried to touch. I've told the truth, I didn't come to fool you. And even though it all went wrong, I'll stand before the Lord of Song with nothing on my tongue but hallelujah.
Right, so let's pray. Let's pray, friends. Let's pray, friends, and let's bring this together. Right, and I want to, before we offer our prayers, I just want to say one last thing. Okay, just so everyone gets it. You know, I got a lot of texts actually today during the talk, and most people got it, but I got a couple of texts saying, right, I'm going to read a couple of texts saying, right, character does matter, right, you know, as if I completely missing the point of what I said. Everything that I said, friends, and it's really hard to be able to listen to, everything that I said was that of course character matters, right? That's why I voted for Biden. Of course character matters. And we all agree what I said. If everyone listened carefully, what I said was that Trump was the shadow version of postmodernity, the shadow version of modernity, right? And the shadow version of traditionalism, right? He was the shadow of all three. That's a big accomplishment, right? Which is why there was no choice morally but to vote him out of office. Yes, that's clearly true. And we need to distinguish between, and that's what Joe Biden said. It's not so easy to do. We need to distinguish between the man Donald Trump, right, and the 70 million people that voted for him. And the 70 million people who voted for him, right, some of them, right, clearly might have done so for the reason Sam Harris said. But that's not true about most of them, right? And it's most people were voting against something, right? Now, is there a complete breakdown of certain key values on the right? Of course there is. Is there a breakdown of other values on the left? Of course there is, right? What we're trying to do is say, okay, how do we actually do what Biden invited us to do, which is to move beyond demonization and find a shared story of value, right? The best, and what I just did is that anyone who deeply listened, right, I actually articulated, right, in my closing articulation, when I said, okay, now what's the shared story? I articulated the best values of the left, right? The recognition that there's systemic racism and the greatness of America, which is an important version of not Trump, but a healthy ethnocentricity. You guys got to listen carefully. Okay, you got to listen carefully. We were actually super careful and super discerning. And that's what it takes to have this conversation. We've got to integrate the best values of the left and the best values of the right and bring them together into a higher vision. Okay. And in the end, right, if we're really wise and really smart, right, and we're really listening and we're really thinking, we won't be either right or left. We'll be some new integration, some new whole, greater than the sum of the parts. Oh my God. So let's pray. Let's pray. Let's find each other in the chat box and let's offer every prayer we can for a new vision. Let's offer every prayer we can to Joe Biden and to Kamala Harris, right, to actually take this next step in leadership. Let's offer every prayer for ourselves, right, to be courageous, right, and to be actually warriors, right, in taking this next step. So let's pray. Okay. Oh my God, right? I pray for forgiveness for my thoughts, right, on those voters, right, and on my son, right, who's one of them. I pray from my heart to stay open with deep compassion, right, love and understanding for all the souls who stand up for values that challenge me, right? I pray that we all come together and pray for the possibility of a new hallelujah, forgiving each other's broken hallelujahs and our own, right? And correct. Lynn Schwartz writes correctly. It's not about Trump. It's about healthy ethnocentricity. And Lynn writes correctly, right? Trump expresses shadow ethnocentricity. That's exactly right. I pray that every human being will become, right, will hold the ability to hold paradox. I pray that our humanity heal, right? Myra, right? I pray that we all feel, right, and we're seen and we're heard. Peter, my prayer is for total inclusion. Yes, right? I pray that we can have the courage to go beyond demonization, right? I pray for the healing, Kirsten, of the world. Welcome, Kirsten, for Unique Self Symphonies to emerge all over the world, for hundreds of prototypes of businesses, organizations, systems, communities, and movements, right? Enacting outrageous love and becoming the imaginal code for Homo Amor. Yes, help me change my perspective over and over again. Krista, I pray for Biden and Harris to have a conversation, right, with us, right, and tell the story in a higher union. Amen. Let's open our hearts, right? Susanna, I pray that we step courageous into our outrageous love to heal the broken hallelujah. Sally, I pray for us to see our shadow more clearly. Jackie, Exochito, Lord, I pray for all of us who deeply listen to those in our lives who feel excluded and less intent of being right, more intent on love. Yes, right. Shahat, Nathan, I pray for clarity where to buy land. Yes, amen. Christina, I pray for all the people of the world that when we stop killing each other. Claire, I pray for global civilization and love, right, as its religion, right? I pray for Biden. Amen. But I pray for skillfulness to engage, right and left, and weave a larger story. Kathy, let this vision for the world be embraced by world leaders. Vashti, I pray that Americans all support corrections of American misdeeds. Yes, including systemic racism that's still in culture, right? And I pray that the right and left can really come to a third, right? Tears of joy, right? For Kamala Harris, right? Beautiful tears, healthy tears, right? Everyone together, I pray for Europe and the USA, right? David, I pray for the strong leadership, right? And feel the prayers and feel them lifting to the sky. Okay, wow. Oh my God, right? Oh my God. So I think we're gonna hold here, right? I think we included today first values and first principles along the way. And I think we need to just kind of hold what we've done. It was huge. Okay, it was huge. So everyone, like, oh my God, right? Oh my God. We're like, oh my God, right? What a day and what a place. So let's find each other in the chat box. Let's find each other in the chat box and just love each other. Like we started. We're just loving each other, sending mad prayers, right, to Joseph Biden and to Kamala Harris, the elected president-elect of the United States and vice president, right? We're sending mad blessings, right, to the shared story, to the best values of the left and the best values, right, of, right, the healthy left and the healthy right. When those two come together, something gorgeous happens beyond imagination. And I want to get this clear, we're not doing kumbaya. It's not like, and everything's good and everything's equal. That's why I started and said, right? I said, right? Trump himself needed to be voted out of office because he was a violation of value, right? Van Jones's description of Trump, right, as being, right, a fundamentally abusive, right, as Christina's described him, right, is accurate. I said, right, as a shadow of postmodernity, he moved post-truth to a whole different level, a shadow of modernity, right, not holy business, but corrupt business, and a shadow of traditionalism, right, hijacked ethnocentricity, right, into borderline racism, right, all not okay, all reasons we have to vote against him. So I disagree with the people that voted for him. But I can actually hear and feel what drove them, right? And that's what Joseph Biden meant when he said we move beyond demonization. We begin to create a shared daemon, right? A shared vision that includes love of every other and includes love of country and includes love of God, and the God you don't believe in doesn't exist, right? That's the possibility. So, oh my God, thank you, everyone. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for being the revolution. And I turn to Krista, all right, to take us inside, right, the last step. So Krista, thank you. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Yes, thank you, Mark. Wow, and thank you everybody for being here, for placing your attention on the evolution of love. And I am just looking at the chat box on our Zoom call going wild, everybody being so grateful, so many insights. This is such a huge contribution to the conversation that is happening in the world right now. And I just want all of us to feel the aliveness of this moment and to make a commitment to actually share this aliveness in our unique corner of the world this week, because this is actually where it begins. This is where our activism begins, where we are all invited to become an outrageous lover and to commit our outrageous acts of love. And I was just imagining all of us sharing this important message, this conversation that we had here today, all over the internet. Everywhere they are having conversations, #elections, where you can find it all online. And I want to invite all of you to just go to those places and to share these videos that we are creating with your unique corner of the world online. So I just want to give you a couple of steps that you can take to become a revolutionary, to become an activist, and to help us get this message out there in the world. So for that, let me just share my screen for a moment and go to the other page. Here we are. First of all, you can find us on Instagram. There we share beautiful quotes that you can share with your friends. So find us on Instagram, follow us, and share those messages there. You can also find us on Facebook, One Mountain, Many Paths. So please make sure that you like this page, and you can even click here on these 3 buttons where you can follow, change your following settings and turn it into favorite. And that way, all of our posts and clips that we create every week from this weekly broadcast will show up in your timeline. So make sure you like those videos and share those in your Facebook groups with your friends, everybody that's, you know, that needs to hear this message. And then we also have a Facebook page called Outrageous Acts of Love. And I don't know why I'm checked out here. Just 1 second, I'm sorry. So if you go to our Facebook page, Outrageous Acts of Love, this is where we all post here on the community tab, post our stories of outrageous acts of love that are right now happening all over the world. And we can share our own stories, or we can share about the stories that we read on the internet. So this page is really a gallery of love and hope, sharing the stories from the world. So it is an amazing place to be, to get inspired, to see what other people are doing and all the billions acts of goodness, as Mark once called them, that are happening in the world. So take a moment to look at this page and join the conversation here. If you want to learn more about this practice of committing outrageous acts of love, then you can go to our website, onemountainmanypaths.org, and you click here on Acts of Love. This is where we share about what it means to be an outrageous lover and how you can connect to this and commit your outrageous acts of love. And there's also a link to the Facebook page right here. While you are on our website, we also have here a watch page, and we have an amazing team of editors who are creating beautiful clips every week from these teachings. So here you can find short featured clips to watch, but also to share with your friends. And you can also find all the replays here. And recently we have also uploaded these Dharma recapitulation clips every week, Christina M. Long does a beautiful summary of the Dharma, quoting Mark Gafni. So these short clips are also here if you want to get quick updates on what we have been talking about. When you click here on resources, you can find the books, all the books that Dr. Mark Gafni has written, and also, of course, the books from Barbara Marx Hubbard. So this is an amazing source of inspiration and knowledge that you can dive into. And of course, we've been speaking for a few weeks already about this amazing new audiobook, the book written by Christina Kincaid and Dr. Mark Gafni. Dr. Christina Kincaid and Dr. Mark Gafni, has now been narrated by actress Gabrielle Anwar into an audiobook. And I can tell you it is an amazing pleasure to listen to this Dharma. And I can't stop listening. I listen when I'm walking, when I'm in my car, constantly being in this experience of radical aliveness just by hearing the words over and over again is just delicious. And for the past 2 weeks, we have had an amazing offer. So I just have to scroll up a bit. If you go to the link that is now also in the chat box on Zoom, and also we will post it on Facebook, this is where you can find this amazing offer. It still lasts for just one more day. So tomorrow we will take it down. And the offer is that anyone who buys the audiobook will actually get the accompanying course, Reclaiming Eros, which is valued at $297, and you will get it for absolutely free. So this is our gift to everybody who's joining to celebrate the publishing of a Return to Eros audiobook. So you can still join us until tomorrow. So go ahead and take a look at that website and this offer. And on this page, you can also find what the book is about, what the course is about, and what you will learn. And of course, studying, this is a self-study online course that you can do on your own in your own time, but we thought it would be also really exciting to actually study it together. So on our membership page, also here on our website, we decided for members of One Mountain to actually create a study group studying Reclaiming Eros together. So we will meet for the first time on November 14th, and we will be students together and share insights together, and also do the practice verses from this course Reclaiming Eros together. So you are super welcome to join us there as well. And becoming a member of One Mountain actually has a lot of benefits, and you can all find them here on this page. But the most wonderful thing actually is that you can choose your own contribution. You can also make a one-time donation here. And what is beautiful is this is a way for you to step into this revolution and really make it your own, and contribute also your resources, your money, your time, your energy to this revolution, and participate and help us and all of us together growing this into the world. If you scroll all the way down, you can also find all the courses that Dr. Mark Gafni and Barbara Marx Hubbard have created. And when you become a member of One Mountain, you actually get all of these 9 courses to be available for you to study anytime you like. So I really hope that you will step in and join us in our community. And I have one last but not least, new exciting gift to share with you. And that is actually when you go to gifts here, you will find this dialogue, because we are starting a new and exciting project. Dr. Mark Gafni is going to have a series of conversations with Andrew Cohen titled A Time Between Stories. And on this page, you can read all about it. It's super interesting and exciting. The first conversation will be held on December 3rd. And the topic will be the ultimate mystery that lies beyond life and death. And it is absolutely free for anyone to join, to just go to this page and register, and we will send you the information. And we are really looking forward to this deep dive conversation. Thank you so much for your attention, and I'm really looking forward and excited to be together again next week. Thank you so much.